Right now, there is a $175 billion industry built almost entirely on your desire to escape the present moment. You buy heavy, 12-inch vinyl records. 43 million of them were sold last year in the US alone, outselling CDs for the 17th consecutive year. You hunt down restored vintage typewriters that cost upwards of $600 on e-commerce sites. You thrift clothes from decades you were not even alive to see. You are not crazy. And you are not just being nostalgic. You are experiencing a highly specific, documented psychological survival mechanism. It is late on a Tuesday. You have just closed out of a platform that is aggressively integrating new AI features. There is a massive wave of anxiety right now regarding the YouTube 2026 vision and the rapid rollout of automated creator tools. Creators and viewers alike are experiencing severe FOMO, terrified of being left behind by unpredictable algorithm updates. As our digital tools become overwhelmingly efficient, we start to feel a strange, quiet obsolescence. You close the laptop. Your jaw is tight. You pick up your phone and watch a grainy, VHS-filtered video of a 1980s diner. There is a specific tightness in your chest. You notice something briefly before the next thought arrives, but you just keep scrolling. We are drowning in a 24-hour news cycle, hyperconnected to thousands of strangers through screens. But we have never been more alone. You did not ask to come of age in an era where the US Surgeon General had to formally declare a loneliness epidemic. The environment taught you that the digital world is fast, unpredictable, and increasingly artificial. The term psychology publications tend to use for this specific exhaustion is algorithm fatigue. It is not about working too hard at a physical job. It is the deep mental weariness of living a completely intangible life, where your worth, your entertainment, and your community are reduced to data points. When our daily lives become entirely frictionless and cloud-based, the brain hunts for physical resistance. We crave the mechanical clack of a typewriter because it requires physical effort. It proves we are physically here. There's something I came across from researchers at USC that I keep thinking about in this context. What the evidence suggests is that nostalgia, even for a time you did not live through, actually provides a distinct psychological benefit and a deep sense of belonging, which, if you have been feeling quietly isolated lately, might explain why you keep retreating into the aesthetics of the past. It is a phenomenon known as anemoia, which simply means a homesickness for a place you have never been. It is not the vintage clothes you actually want. It is the safety of a story where you already know the ending. Woody Allen defined this in the 2011 film Midnight in Paris as golden age thinking. It is the assumption that a different time period is inherently better than the one you are living in. But we suffer from selective memory. We conveniently filter out the harsh historical realities. We ignore the lack of modern antibiotics. We ignore the extreme historical inequality. We romanticize the undivided attention and the slow pace of the past, while entirely forgetting the severe limitations of that era. We curate history the exact same way we curate a social media feed. You are not trying to travel backward. You are trying to find a floor that does not move. But what happens when you realize the floor you are looking for never actually existed? If this perspective is helping you make sense of your own digital exhaustion, sharing it with someone who feels the exact same way is the best next step. Because here is the reality we have to face. The analog resurgence is largely a temporary aesthetic trend. The return to rotary phones and film cameras is a visual rebellion, not a practical solution. Technology and algorithms represent genuine, positive human development. They have connected us, advanced our medical capabilities, and given us tools that previous generations could not even fathom. The gap between 2005 and 1970 is exactly 35 years, but the psychological distance feels like a century. We do not actually want to abandon the massive advancements of the 21st century. We do not want to give up high-speed internet or global communication. What you are actually grieving is not the loss of physical media. What most people are truly trying to bring from the past into the modern era is the innocence and carefree nature of being 7 or 8 years old. You want the feeling of a mind that has not yet been monetized. You miss the era of your life when you were not burdened by the hyper-awareness of global events or the constant pressure to optimize your free time. You do not miss the 1970s. You miss feeling unburdened. You miss feeling real. You want the feeling of a front porch culture. You want that physical neighborhood dynamic where people just existed around each other without scheduling a calendar invite. But that culture is highly difficult to build today. Practically speaking, that dynamic mostly applies to older generations, specifically Generation X and those who came before them. The architecture of our modern lives simply does not support it anymore. You cannot force a 1980s neighborhood dynamic onto a digital reality. The spaces we inhabit have fundamentally changed. So what do you do with this homesickness? You stop treating it as a retreat and you start treating it as a blueprint. The goal is not to throw your smartphone in a river and move to the woods. The goal is hybrid living. You can extract the psychological benefits of the past, the simplicity, the tactile weight of physical objects, and the authentic human connection, without sacrificing the present. This is a concept of strategic nostalgia. You use analog habits to anchor your nervous system, while using modern technology to build your life. You let the algorithm do its job. You let the AI tools assist your workflow, but you keep a physical sanctuary where the algorithm cannot reach you. You deliberately engineer spaces where your attention cannot be tracked, measured, or sold. It is a Sunday evening. Nothing went wrong this week, and yet there is this quiet heaviness sitting in the middle of the room like weather. You could open the app again. You could watch another video about how the algorithm is changing and how you need to adapt. You say you are fine and you turn back to the screen, but the mechanism of your escape is still running. You did not choose this digital overwhelm, but you are the only one in a position to notice it. That is not a burden. That is actually the only real place this changes. This realization usually happens on a completely ordinary evening, probably while you are standing in the kitchen waiting for water to boil, which is exactly the point. You do not need a time machine to fix how you feel. You just need a boundary. The past is a great place to visit, but it is a terrible place to live. If you want to understand exactly how to build those boundaries without falling behind in your career, watch the video on your screen right now.